Welcome back, everyone, to another Bitcoin update. And so far, it is now the new trading week. It seems like there has been more news that has come in for the U.S.-Iran war. The ceasefire is ending on the 22nd, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I've seen multiple articles with both days, but I'm assuming it is Wednesday. And it seems like there is going to be talks over the next couple of days until the end of the ceasefire. We'll kind of just have to wait and see for what will happen with that, if we get a no deal, an escalation of war, or if a deal gets signed, or maybe they just extend the ceasefire again. So that wouldn't be too surprising to see that as well. So overall, scenarios kind of remain the same as last video. There's many different ways that this can go about. This could be our third wave here, and then we could technically be in our fourth wave pullback now, like what we've seen here. And we could very well break through resistance and go higher for another high in the fifth wave before getting a possible rejection. It's totally possible too, where this could even be a 1-2 setup. It'd be a very weird structure, but if we were to be really impulsive and go higher, that's always a possibility as well. All of this could be an A wave, B wave, and then C wave as well. That's also possible. Otherwise, this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first wave, then a second wave pullback, and then higher again. So there's a few different ways that this can go about. But essentially, we just kind of have to wait and see for what will come through for the news. It kind of seems like the market's really just uncertain right now, and it's just kind of waiting for what will happen next. Stock market fell a little bit for the S&P 500. Bitcoin obviously fell over the weekend, so it wouldn't be surprising if we do see maybe a possible short-term bounce into our resistance zone, and then which from there we can see either what happens for the war. If we do get a deal done, we could possibly break through resistance and go higher. We'll kind of track that and see for which scenario could play out just based off of price action there. But otherwise, if we do head into resistance, maybe no deal gets done, and we see a rejection and head lower. That's always a possibility as well. Like I said in the last video, I mean, you can have all the technical indicators, you can have all the support and the resistance, but when it's just such volatile times like it is right now with the US and Iran war, and literally every single headline is basically putting prices up or down, I mean, you kind of just have to let that run its course. And once we kind of get to a more calm market and where it's less volatile, and it is kind of based off of support and resistance and volatile movement, or just support and resistance and just trend lines and all that stuff, well then that's when this stuff can kind of come more into play. But when you're just in such volatility times like it is right now, it's kind of something you need to look out for. I had a person on Twitter that commented, I don't see how the Iran war affects the Bitcoin price, and all you really have to do is just zoom out and look at since the Iran war started. And when the Iran war started and missiles were coming down, well, we had this price drop in Bitcoin before a quick recovery. So as soon as the war started, we literally saw the price fall immediately. So that's just something right there. You can do it too recently. I don't really remember too many events, but basically all back here was just a lot of tweets from Trump saying, oh, the war is almost over, this and that, things are looking good. That usually pumps the price. Then he says, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to bomb them more, drops the price a little bit more. This entire move was set up from basically a ceasefire with Iran, which pumped the markets. Then no deal was made, dropped the market. And then a Lebanon deal was made with Israel. And now that basically since then we've been pumping from that. And now that negotiations aren't looking very good for the U.S. and Iran war, or that there were some rejections and just headlines yesterday, well, the price crashed, and now we're kind of here again. So I just kind of have to disagree with the people that say it doesn't affect it at all. I mean, our next movement will most likely be caused from whether we get a deal or not, or a ceasefire extension as well. That will kind of have to affect it a little bit as well. So that's something to kind of look out for. So we'll kind of go over the RSI on the 1 hour. very choppy movement. Kind of makes sense with all this being an A, B, C to the downside, where this could be a B wave bounce, then we can get another low in that C wave before possibly going higher. On the 4-hour chart, we have just been kind of cooling off, basically, with this drop, and so far we haven't seen any impulsive price action up. Maybe we could go sideways for a little bit before a decision gets made. And on the daily, we are definitely getting pretty close to, or we were pretty close to overbought. We hit that daily trend line RSI, which we saw a rejection from as well, so not surprising to see that as well. And I was watching a video from a few different people, and in terms of the RSI, for those that don't watch More Crypto Online, I usually like to watch a lot of his analysis. Very good stuff. If you haven't seen him, make sure to check him out. But he kind of made a good point. What if we just go higher here, or maybe we have a short-term sell-off, maybe to this region down here, maybe that 67 to 72,000 range. We just have a sell-off. We create a low on the RSI, then we pump back up above this candle or against this previous high, and then we form a bearish divergence in the 1 day, and then that could be a possible confirmation of a somewhat top that could be in. So that's something that would be pretty interesting, that could definitely play out over the next couple of at least 1 to 2 weeks for sure. If we head over to the liquidity as well, we said last video that it wouldn't be surprising if we do see a little bit of a short-term, or sorry, not last video, on a Twitter post this morning, we had liquidity in the 66 to 67,000 area. Would it be surprising if we go up there to liquidate some of those shorts? And it kind of seems like we are possibly currently doing that right now. But overall on the 30-day, we still are heavy longs compared to shorts, where basically this first zone goes to about 72,400. You have a smaller zone in between at 71 to 72,000, and then this larger zone back here at 7,500 that goes to about that 66,000 range. Now on the 7-day, it is actually pretty even for longs and shorts. We have these shorts here at 76, 77,000, which on the heat map, it kind of aligns pretty well with our resistance zone as well. If we go here, if we do pump to, 77,000, 76,000 and 77,000, it kind of aligns pretty well with our resistance zone as well. So if we do see a short-term pump, obviously to liquidate some of these shorts, that goes to about 77,000, wouldn't be surprising to see as well. But kind of the lower we go, we do have more and more longs that obviously have been built up from a while ago. On the heat map, we'll go over what we saw on the weekly of yesterday. Basically, we have large shorts that are building above. If you go to the threshold of it, you can see major liquidity here at 78,000, 79,000, but you also have that lower liquidity down here at 72,000. So it wouldn't be surprising if we do see a short-term drop to liquidate these before forming a 1-2 setup, and then possibly heading higher for this as well. On the 3-day, it's mostly more than likely, let's see if we, 3-day, we just still have that liquidity above as well. And on the 48-hour short term, same kind of story, liquidity above, but also minor liquidity below as well. Now, something interesting that I do want to point out for a technical indicator is we are still neutral within funding rate. I do know we do see negative right now, but when we're kind of within this even zone back and forth, it is just mostly neutral. However, obviously negative funding rate, when we're super negative over here, it usually isn't. It's usually a sign that we could go higher short term, but obviously that wasn't the case there. That's why it's not always an indicator. You have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to use many indicators and put them together, but obviously not financial advice. Nothing is ever guaranteed, but it just kind of goes to show how the US-Iran war is also affecting it. We got bad news from the US-Iran war, and even though negative funding rate was super high, we still dropped because of the news from the war. So again, just another reason why. But if you kind of take it back here, we're usually negative funding rate. Doesn't usually mean that you will go lower right away. For example, you could be really negative here, really heavy short, and then the price just goes sideways. And then once those shorts and negative funding rate starts to drop a little bit, well, then that's kind of when it makes more sense for either direction that could play out rather than just a heavy one-sided. But yeah, we'll kind of head over to open interest as well. And on the open interest, still kind of down. We haven't seen too much, just choppy price action for open interest as well. So what can we expect over the next 24 hours? Well, whenever the day of the ceasefire comes, or whenever they get a deal comes through, that could very well indicate our next move for Bitcoin, and that could be a big deciding factor. If we get an extended ceasefire, well, maybe we do get a possible short-term rally. It's also possible that we do even break above this high here at 78,000, maybe go a little above and then we head lower. That's always a possibility, but short term, unless some sort of catalyst event comes, I guess it wouldn't be super surprising to see maybe a short-term bounce in the resistance, maybe liquidate some of those shorts before going lower as well. But if we do just get a catalyst and we just drop immediately from here, well, then that also wouldn't be too surprising as well. So that's kind of what we would be expecting. Otherwise, if we do get a catalyst and pushes it up as well, that shouldn't be surprising too. It's a catalyst. It's like we said, it's the US-Iran war. It is definitely a big factor for some of these scenarios. But just keep in mind, if we do go directly higher here, well, maybe we won't have as much steam for this next rally. Maybe we form a bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart as well. That wouldn't be surprising to see that. If we go 4-hour, maybe we rally higher, break above this swing high. Maybe we get to the 80s and then we just form a lower high on the 4-hour. That shouldn't really come as a surprise. So yeah, we'll kind of just have to wait and see what will happen. I have the S&P 500 chart open for the RSI as well. I mean, usually S&P is a little bit different compared to Bitcoin. For example, if we were to hit overbought on the Bitcoin chart in a bear market, well, or for those that think that it's a bear market, usually it'd be a good sign that maybe a possible top could be in. Maybe we go a little bit higher. S&P is usually a little bit different though, but it's just kind of something to be warned about, that we hit overbought on the RSI. We had a very quick rally up, maybe even an overextension, you could say. And if you kind of look at the volume, it hasn't really been the highest volume these last couple of days compared to past rallies as well. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.